Hey guys, what's going on? We are back again with another anime review. This time we are doing Megalobox Season 2 Nomad, or is it Megalobox 2 Nomad, or I don't know, but it's the
I'm
second
gonna
season.
say Megalo Box 2 Nomad.
Okay,
I'm gonna say like it's a part two.
okay, so it's part 2 of Megalobox and it's Nomad. The reason why it's titled Nomad is because we still follow the story of Gearless Joe, and this time he's going by the name of Nomad. And I'm guessing because, well, something happened from the time of the first season where he won Megalonia, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, you're
Megalonia.
saying it right.
Okay, Megalonia. And of course, that ended. He beats Yuri, and something happened to the point where now you just see Gearless Joe just literally just go down a dark path. Like he was a guy that came from nothing, started from the bottom, rose to the top, became champion, and now you see him back down even worse than what we saw him back in the first season. To the point where now he's taking drugs, an alcoholic. We also find out that Nanbu, his trainer, is no longer alive because
Oh man,
he's hallucinating him in, whenever he's like drinking and taking drugs and whatnot. Like, he sees and hears him, but he's not there. And then of course we still don't know what happened to the other people that was also along with Joe training when he became champion, and what's the relationship with him and Yuri now. Like, there's a lot of things that we don't know what happened, but the first episode we just see him just like completely worse than
Yeah.
where he was when he first started. Like, it's like he became a champ and then he just fell from grace pretty much.
yeah, this is definitely like one of those hard beginnings that we did not anticipate watching.
Yeah,
Especially the fact he's wearing gear
yeah,
that etched the name Nomad as well. He's wearing his original gear from part one, from what it looks like.
yeah,
The fact that it's mostly scrap and nothing too special, it's mostly his hits that did the damage.
yeah.
We see him from the bottom. We see him go into a smoothie bar thinking, hey, I need to clear my head. No, he's just doing a little tap for the special, and it ends up being more opioids from what it looks like.
Yeah, more painkillers, it seems to be.
Yeah, then we see him walking into the bar, getting a drink, trying to mix his stuff. But then he steers clear because he hears some singing, and it gives him a sudden time to realize what he's doing.
Yeah,
And this opens up to a new character named Chief,
mm-hmm.
who's actually performing and just telling him, hey, you really want to die, don't you? Please don't.
Yeah,
It's interesting to see a character that's trying to speak to him, or the first character to interact with him, actually.
yeah. Well, we can also,
yeah.
we can also find out that after the championship, after Joe won the Megalonia Championship, he disappeared from the public eye after losing his match against Lou 2 years after his win in Megalonia. And Lou, who we don't know who he is, but we've heard his name in the first episode, and he was, I believe, an apprentice of Yuri. So this was the guy that beat Joe, and something must have happened after he lost that defeat to the point where Nanbu is like gone. Like, something happened.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly for sure, but after that, we see Joe driving into a forest-like area or forest road, and he sees a wolf in the way. He's telling the wolf to get out the way, and he ends up crashing. And then, as he gets up, trying to assess himself, he's looking at the wolf looking back at him. And what Joe sees is the wolf has like scars on him, like facial scars on him, almost similar to Joe. So with that, I got the reference of maybe this is more of a self-reflection, because the wolf is also out by himself in the cold, and just like Joe, he's also out by himself in the cold. So there,
Yeah, it's like the lone wolf saying.
yeah. And then later on in the episode, we also see that same wolf, but this time dead on the road. Joe turns back as he's driving, and buries the wolf and just, having another drink. And here comes Nanbu again, another hallucination. But prior to that, Joe had a match against Chief, and Chief ended up throwing the match to the point where Joe ended up winning, and Joe wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah, the fact that he states that he does not want fixed fights.
Yeah.
Since we watched most of them in part 1.
Yeah. Because I believe in part 1, he was that guy that had to throw fights.
Until he fought Yuri for the first time.
Yeah.
That's like a weird way of just saying he wants to do things his way.
Yeah.
And still get paid.
Yeah, like he wants like a good fight, like a fight against someone that's really, really good. But he should know that in the underground sector of boxing or Megalo boxing, that there's gonna be some fixed fights, because the guys who are trying to make the bets and whatnot are trying to make some money. So of course, there's gonna be some fixed fights, because they're trying to make money off of the people who are betting.
Yeah, then we see the end after a fake match. We just see him pissed. Joe is just pissed.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to actually fight this dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how he says, it's like, yeah, if you didn't take to the drugs, you probably would have knocked me out for reals.
Yeah.
And just does a liver shot.
Mm-hmm. And even
that just shows he held back. I'm sorry.
But even when Chief and Joe were actually fighting, there was a moment where Chief said, "Oh, the drugs are wearing off," and then Chief knows that. Yeah, I know that you're Gearless Joe.
Yeah, that call out was definitely needed.
Yeah.
Because putting grease on your face does not really hide the facial recognition.
I mean, he has the beard going for him, because in season 1 he didn't have a beard. He had a clean shave. He had the afro. And this one now he's a bit older, has the beard, and of course, yeah. But yeah, I still want to know what happened 5 years ago. Like, what led him go down this dark path? What happened to Nanbu? What happened to the people that was around them? Like, I remember, I think it was like 2 kids that were around Nanbu and Joe. I want to know what happened to them.
They were right next to him, like around the ring.
Yeah. So I really want to know what happened, because there's a lot to dig into on Megalobox. But with the end of not season 1, but with the end of episode 1, we also go into episode 2, where Joe ends up getting his bike stolen from a kid going by the name of Mio, which you end up later finding out.
And the fact that he got robbed, he was pissed.
Oh yeah.
The man has the worst luck.
Yeah.
And then we just see him asking a homeless guy, "Hey, where did this kid go?" And just shows the place. It's an abandoned amusement park, which I found interesting. But then we learn more that there's Latin culture.
Yeah.
Because the intro starts having a Spanish guitar. We heard Chief singing in the first episode. And then we just see like small names like Marla. Then the boy's name is Mio. And the fact that they work in a little body shop, and we just see him trying to get his money back, but he just ends up passing out, realizing his bike is broken.
Yeah, like the bike has been completely stripped of parts, and we end up seeing Joe having somewhat of an anxiety attack to the point where he passes out.
And that boy tried to splurge and it failed.
Oh yeah, like when Mio was just taking his friends, going to the corner store, and just hey guys, buy whatever you want, it's on me. I mean, of course, when you're young and you have a lot of money, of course you're gonna do some stuff like that because you want to impress your friends. I mean, we've all done it before once. Some of us.
Then after the anxiety attack, we see a brief glimpse of someone saying, "Here is this tea." Right off the bat, I knew it was Chief.
Yeah.
And the fact that they drank the tea, recovered, and then we get the introductions and the realization that they're trying to get that the place that they're in, they're about to get their land sold.
Yeah.
Well, they don't own the land, but where they live.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man.
It's more realistic.
Oh yeah. And what I liked about this episode was the conversation that Joe and Chief had. well, more so what the conversation that Chief had with Joe, where we learned that Chief looked up to Joe because Chief, who's an immigrant, and just like most of the other people that's in the abandoned amusement park with him, they're all immigrants. They immigrated to the country, having no place to go, and they look at someone like Joe, who's an inspiration because Joe is a person that came from nothing and made something out of himself in Megalonia to the point where he became champion. And with Chief saying that, it's like, you know, even though you may have given up on yourself, it's like we still have not given up on that dream that, hey, if you can make it, I can make it too.
Yeah, that's deep.
Like, there was like, I wouldn't say a lot of cultural references, but there's some cultural references in episode 2 that you'll definitely can look back, you know, look into, where I believe it's in Mexican culture. I'm
agreeing with you on that. Definitely with the acoustics, the tones, and some accents a little bit.
Right.
But then you just see, what I love in the sub is like when you say mi casa is su casa. The way they say it, I'm just like...
Yeah.
I'm like, they're hitting that with seasoning. I'm loving it.
And then, of course, they was having a festival where they're celebrating the dead. And it kind of reminded me of that one movie, Coco, that I've watched, where they too were, you know, setting up the candles, the rose petals and whatnot, just, you know, celebrating the Day of the Dead. And I was like, man, I got that reference.
I enjoyed it. Dia de los Muertos is what they call it in Spanish.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, I like how they subtly like bring culture into the anime.
Yeah.
Instead of like Merry Christmas, it's just like straight up Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
Where you put some roses so the dead can follow and not get lost. I'm like, this is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Someone had to add some sazon into it, and I'm appreciative of that. But as we get closer, we see Mio finding out that Gearless Joe's in the place, and he snitches to his friends of a friend, basically the mob that was trying to buy off the land.
Yeah. And Chief says that, you know, he'll buy the land by, you know, winning the tournament match that's going to happen. But, of course, the people don't believe him because they know that Chief throws the matches and he doesn't win them. So they're not confident that he'll actually win. But as Chief is training, Joe comes back to the place and says to Chief that, you know what? I want to see that dream of yours. I want to see it happen. And I want to be there to help. And Chief smiled and said, well, under one condition. And without even hesitation, Joe already knew. It was like,
yeah, he just went.
I already threw out the drugs.
Yeah, we hear it first, and then we actually see it.
Yeah,
and it's good visualization that the man is going cold turkey, right off the bat.
Yeah, so that got me excited. That we might see Joe make a comeback
if he actually fights.
Yeah, if he actually fights.
But if he coaches, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's acceptable.
But I have a feeling that we're going to see him fight eventually. Like, we're going to see Gearless Joe come back somehow, but we just have to see what the next episode is going to hold for us. So that concludes our review of episode 2. Like, overall, what are your thoughts like overall on just the first 2 episodes?
Overall, we know it's going to be a good build-up. It's building up. I say it's going to be like a couple more episodes so we see Gearless Joe fight.
Right.
But we're going to see a lot of psychology into it. His psychology specifically, and a little bit of Chief's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if they're going to show anything about Yuri.
Oh, I'm guessing so, because if anything, I'm guessing we still have to know who Lou is, and then, of course, how did the match between Lou and Gearless Joe happen to the point where Joe lost? Like, I want to know, how did he lose? But
I know. Then the one last thing I want to see if Lou is actually gonna get the same modifications that Yuri have.
That could be true. But
because watching that whole dissecting process was brutal.
Oh yeah.
On part 1.
Oh yeah.
Getting chills.
Well, guys, that concludes our review of Megalo Box 2 Nomad. Let us know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on it. We would love to hear you guys' opinions. And yeah, until next time, and as always, stay classy.
Peace.